So, you're a business owner dedicated to the significant and sustainable growth of both you and your business. Welcome to the ADDAZERO podcast.
Hi, I'm Jay Allen from the ADDAZERO podcast. I'm delighted to be sharing with you in this episode what our take is on why most people get their marketing completely wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to antagonize people and frustrate you right from the very off. But the simple fact is that most people are using the wrong measures and doing the right things in the wrong order to get the right results. And that's been compounded even more so over the last 12 months with not only the introduction, but the massive surge in AI and ChatGPT and various other artificial intelligences that have just compounded the issue even further. So today I want to talk to you about how to be able to simplify your marketing and to be able to start attracting the right people to you, as opposed to continually chasing that anyone who market. And the best way I can possibly do this is to give a quick example of a chap called Phil. When I first met Phil, they were an exceptionally successful business. They got a groundbreaking product that was just revolutionary in the industry, and they were doing incredibly well. That was until that they'd exhausted their existing client base and trying to be able to chase a new audience to expand the business and to grow was proven to be a real uphill challenge. They'd spent tens of thousands of pounds, possibly even £100,000 over the last 12 months on recruiting new marketing staff and a new website and a new marketing strategy. They'd significantly invested in getting their marketings to more and more people, and yet the impact it was having was almost detrimental to everything that built up so far. So let's first of all understand as to how most people get it wrong, and then what it is to put it right. You see, for most people in marketing, first of all, they measure it incorrectly. They measure marketing through ROI, or return on investment. They look at how much cash is in the till as a direct result of the media and the marketing that they've been doing, and then say, but it's not working because we're not making any more money. Now, big groundbreaker here, marketing's job is not to generate money. You heard it here first. Now, I do hope that you're still with me and you haven't already switched off when I made that revelation. But the simple fact is that marketing's job is not to generate money. Marketing, when it's done well, generates awareness. Marketing's job is to be able to make more people aware of who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and how you are different from everybody else. Marketing's job is to create brand awareness and to create inquiries. That's where marketing's job ends. Sales's job is to be able to convert that inquiry into cash, to be able to satisfy the needs of the person making the inquiry sufficient that they are comfortable enough to be able to make a purchase. And the difference between marketing sales and where one finishes and the other one starts is about marketing's job is to be able to make the phone ring, and sales's job is to pick the phone up. And it's only when we can get the first definition correct that we can then understand as to why so many people are making the mistake in marketing, particularly when it comes to ChatGPT and all of the other AI that's now available. So the next point in this really is about acknowledging that most people do the right thing, but in the wrong order, and therefore don't get the right results. So let's look at that. In order to be able to do marketing effectively, we should apply the triple M methodology. And yet most people start at the third M and work backwards towards the first. Let me quickly show you what that means. The triple M marketing methodology: market, message, media, in that order. And yet the majority of people in business be they smaller businesses or sometimes more established, medium-sized businesses with a marketing manager and a few people as a full-time salaried job, is that they will start off by saying, we need to do something on LinkedIn, or we need to have a Instagram strategy, or we need to do more on TikTok. They've already determined the media they wish to use first as where they want to be present. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to talk about omnipresence in a second or two. But for now, they start with the media. And then they move to the message. What do they want to convey to the people out there? What do they want to communicate? And it often starts with, we do this or I do that. Let me tell you all about us and what we can do and how we support people. Let me tell you some really clever graphics or some Insta design or something or other, that they will put something out there to define them and how they're different from the audience and the problems that they solve and how we're great at it and lots of stuff about us. And then they put it out to the market. They look for the largest footfall. They measure it in terms of likes and clicks and favourites and shares. And whilst measuring is a key important aspect, not just to marketing, but across every single aspect of your business, if you're willing to be able to do splash and dash, simply throw something out there and hope that it works, or to do a deluge of information that's been generated by ChatGPT in order to be able to be at the front of the feed all the time, without understanding who your target audience is, then quite frankly, I would suggest that whatever marketing budget you've got, you take out in cash, you step out into the high street with a branded sweater on, and you hand your entire marketing budget to the first stranger walking past you. There's my £10,000 annual marketing budget. I'd like to give it to you. In the hope that they feel some form of pity on you, that they're willing to come back and spend a few quid with you. The chances are that that's a better marketing strategy than the one that if you're simply splash and dash or using media message market as your means of being able to market the communication of who you are and what you do to the audience. So if that's all of the wrong stuff, what do we need to do differently? Well, for that, I need to go back to Phil and to look at what they were doing and why they were having such a problem. You see, like I said at the very beginning, Phil had a superior product that was revolutionary in his market, that had grown the business to several £1 million before we met him. And yet, once they'd reached saturation point in the existing client frame that they already had, to be able to move outside those parameters and to start to look for new customers in new different verticals was proven to be almost impossible. Their click-through rate was low, their inquiry rate on the website was reasonable but not excessive, their pay-per-click was just getting higher and higher and higher. They were spending more and more time and effort and becoming more and more frustrated with the marketing efforts that they were spending on, and yet getting littler and littler and littler return on that time and investment. And the simple fact is, they hadn't defined their ideal target client audience. They hadn't really got to understand who it is that we're communicating to. So, first of all, let me ask, who is your ideal target client audience? If you could only work with one vertical for the next 12 months, who would it be and why would it be them? What do you know about them? Beyond the usual demographics of who they are and where they are and why they would need your service. What do you really know about them? Are you a social stalker, or at least does your business do a lot of social stalking? What I mean by that is, how relevant are you to them in their lives right now and the priorities that they have on today's basis? You see, we're all busy. We've all got stuff to do. We've all got limited amount of times to sit and scroll endlessly through the various different platforms available to us. Time is of a precious essence. It's something that we'll never be able to buy back. And therefore, my time has become so much more prevalent to me than to not waste it looking at things that aren't relevant to me right now. If there's only one thing that I want you to take as a key takeaway from this entire chapter within the podcast, it's the word relevance. I want you to understand who is your ideal target client audience, how well do you know them, and how is what you offer relevant to their decision-making process right here and right now. And it's only once you've spent some time not just looking at the superficial stuff, the demographics, but going deep inside to understand exactly who they are, why they are, what they're doing, why are they doing, who are they doing it with, both in business and outside of business, that we can start to craft a message that becomes so much more personal to the individual that we're trying to communicate to. You see, the problem is most people, most businesses are doing what I call, certainly from a military or a veteran's perspective, shotgun marketing. They're taking a message and firing it out there with a 12 ball with the hope that some of it sticks to the relevant people. If we can hit as many people as possible, some of them will come and buy something from us. And it's simply not true. Marketing these days, particularly because of AI, has got to become so much more personal that it speaks directly to the individual that you're wanting to be able to work with. And it speaks to them in such a manner that it connects with them on an emotional level, and it recognises where they are in their journey through life and through business right now. It's only when we understand our ideal target client audience well that we can start to craft a message that conveys relevance to them. And it's not, we do this, we do that, we do the other. A carefully crafted message should always be around them and where they are in their journey right now. What's relevant to them right now? How do we communicate to them in such a way that it resonates with them on an emotional level, that it says, this person, this brand, this company understands who I am. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a multitude of different tools and platforms out there available to help us to be able to craft that message. But it's only when we have an individual in mind, a single business in mind, that we can start to really define the message that we want to convey to them in such a way that when they receive it, it's almost as if it was written one-to-one. It's almost as if it was old school and a handwritten note sent to an individual. I've been thinking about you. I've noticed that you are doing X, Y, Z right now. I'd love to be able to learn more about that. I'd love to be able to convey it to you and be interested before I become interesting. And that's the key shift that we need to be able to emphasise. And only once we've identified who that person is and the message that we need to convey to them, that we can then step into, and where are they? Not just geographically, but where do they hang out, both online and offline? How do we ensure that our message is conveyed to them, that wherever they are and whatever they're looking at and whenever they're looking at it, they are reminded about us and our brand? How do we become relevant at the time of relevance in order that when they're ready to buy, they ask for you by name and by brand, as opposed to simply searching through Google looking for an answer? It's interesting, isn't it? A million years ago, maybe not quite a million years ago, but a million years ago, we didn't talk about the vacuum cleaner. We always said, have you done the hoovering? And yet Hoover was a brand. Interestingly, I was talking to somebody at the weekend and we made reference to the mess that had been cleared. And I said, don't worry, we can just Dyson it up. I don't know where that word came from. I've never used it before, but I didn't reference vacuum cleaner, the machine that was being used. I used a brand to talk about the action that was going to be taken. Why? Because they've become relevant to me. They're communicating to me in such a manner that when I think about the activity or the problem that I have to resolve, I've gone to a brand to be able to find the solution, as opposed to an industry to look for the cheapest bidder. So when marketing is done well, when marketing is done effectively, marketing should be a lot more sniper than shotgun. It should be How and what do I know about the ideal target client audience? How do I niche so specifically that the message resonates, not just on a superficial level, I've got something that you might want, but on such a deep and emotional level that I feel like you're communicating to me and you're doing it wherever I'm at. Wherever I go, wherever I do, whether I'm online or offline, I'm aware of you and your presence and the relevance that you have to me in my life and my journey right now. And it's only when we can communicate on that level that our marketing starts to become magical. And what I mean by that is our pay-per-click goes down, our reach goes up, and the inquiry rate goes off the schedule. When I worked with Phil, I worked with Phil over 12 months, not just on the marketing, but on the scale of the business and the operations. And we did a whole year together through one of our ADDAZERO Basecamp and Explorer programs, which I'll mention right at the very end of today's podcast. But we worked with him over a 12-month period. So I got to be able to see the impact of not just the marketing that we did, but on how it impacted the sales and the sales team and how that impacted operations and then subsequently into finance, in order to be able to move on and understand the impact it had in the business. But by defining our message effectively, by being able to communicate and niche the offer to be able to determine as to, one, we've got a brilliant product, but let me tell you about how it's relevant to you in your industry as we moved into a new vertical, we moved into a new industry to be able to launch this product even further. And by being able to communicate about the advantages of working with this company and why this company was in existence. Phil was a great advocate for ESG, the environmental social governance chapter, and understanding the impact it was going to have, not just on the community, but on the environment. He was a real environmentalist, and he wanted to be able to ensure that all of his products were biodegradable and that he had a positive carbon footprint, even though they were in heavy machinery and manufacturing. He was able to do a lot of offset, and it was a business for good. He understood the impact that his business was having in the environment and in the industry, and he wants to be an industry leader in that sense. And so to be able to communicate the values that we had within the business and why we did what we do in the way that we do them became less important about being cost effective, although obviously that's a key decision for anyone that's looking to be able to buy a new product or a new industry. But it became less of a deciding influence when we could convey who we were trying to speak to, why we were in business, what we were trying to achieve, the impact working with us had not only on the solution but on the industry and the environment also. We were able to see over the next 6, 7, 8, 9 months a 200% increase inquiry rate on the website and 180% conversion increase than they had previously with a new vertical from a new industry. That increased revenue significantly from a new vertical from the off, with people making bigger orders for newer, more innovative products, that in actual fact the business grew and doubled its research and development team at the time where we were parting company 12 months later. They were becoming far more innovative in order to become more advantageous to a new vertical that we'd broken into in less than 12 months. And all of that came from being able to define the message far more clearly, to have a far more compelling offer, not just in terms of revenue generation, but in terms of why we do business and who we are and how we convey ourselves. The values within the business were core to being able to help people to understand the benefits of working with them as opposed to a competitor. But the message resonated so closely and so deeply with the people we were trying to communicate to, that the sales conversion rate and the sales conversation became so much easier. It wasn't just a sell to them, it was building a relationship. And I'm sure that will continue with lifetime value of customers and the new accounts that we've helped them to win. I hope that makes sense. I'd be really interested to be able to get any feedback you've got with regards to how is your marketing working right now? What are you doing with regards to ChatGPT or any of the other AI functionality, and how's that working for you? Are you splash and dash? Are you shotgun? Or are you spending the time to really, really get to know your audience well in order that the message that you convey is so much more specific to them that it helps them to be able to make an easier decision to move towards you and just to say, would you work with me? As opposed to, why would I work with you? If that sounds of interest, I'd love to be able to share you a little bit more about who we are and what we do and how we help companies like Phil to be able to significantly and sustainably grow both them and the business. The best thing you can possibly do is to simply visit our website, www.mytruenorth.biz, and look through the multitude of different services that we offer, simply from a pick my brain session where you can book a single hour, all the way through to our summit package where we work collectively with both the business owner and the business management team to support them over a 12-month period. There's something for everyone there if you're interested in significant and sustainable growth. It could be simply picking up a copy of my book, ADDAZERO. It could be simply working with us on a one-to-one mentorship guidance basis. I'd love to have a conversation with you to learn more about you and your goals for 2025 and beyond. So simply get in touch and let me know as to where are you on the marketing scale right now, how's it working for you, and how can it be improved. God bless, take care. I'll see you again soon.
That's all for this episode. As always, we really thank you for listening and welcome your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. So please do drop us a line by emailing podcast@mytruenorth.biz. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you're listening to this through. And tell your colleagues and business network all about who we are. You've been listening to the ADDAZERO podcast presented by Jay Allen. Brought to you in association with MyTrueNorth, the UK's leading ethical coaching company.